Welcome back to the community once again, ladies and gentlemen. Guess what? Official developments in the Arctic region drew international attention as Denmark confirmed new military activity linked to Greenland. Danish troops arrived in Greenland as part of planned security cooperation. The Danish Defense Command said this move is connected to joint NATO exercises. These exercises involved Germany, France, and the United Kingdom. The statement made clear that Denmark will keep a stronger military presence in the area through the year 2026. The arrival of troops was presented as an organized and coordinated action. It followed existing defense plans. Danish authorities said the purpose was participation in various NATO exercises. No change in Greenland's political status was announced. No combat cooperation was described. The focus remained on cooperation and readiness. The Danish Defense Command added a clear message. It stated that Denmark will maintain its increased presence in Greenland in 2026. This message was released as part of an official communication. It was framed as a continuation of existing defense policy. At the same time, ladies and gentlemen, guess what? Comments made in the United States of America added to public discussion. U.S. Senator Chris Coons spoke about a statement made by President Donald Trump regarding Greenland. His words were reported clearly and directly. Senator Coons said, quote, "If we do things that cause NATO allies to question whether we can be counted on, why will any other country seek to be our ally?" End quote.
I can't speak to President Trump's psychological needs. That's really not my goal here. Your question, though, is repeating something he has said. I'll say this. One of the things that's been made clear to us is that the people of Denmark are very anxious, are quite concerned, and the people of Greenland even more so, and that this current tone and tempo of statements about acquisition is not constructive. I think I speak for every senator and House member here in that we deeply value NATO, and that this 80-year-old alliance, this partnership, has been absolutely critical to the United States' security and prosperity and success. I was at the NATO summit, as was Senator Shaheen, Senator Tillis, and others. This was a remarkably successful NATO summit last year at The Hague. NATO has dramatically stepped forward. Denmark, the Kingdom of Denmark, is now spending 3.2% of its GDP on security. NATO, in some ways, should be celebrated and embraced as being stronger than ever. Greenland is a part of Denmark. Denmark is our NATO ally. That should be the end of this discussion, in my view, because I think to do or say anything that puts at risk our trustworthiness as an ally is fundamentally strategically dangerous for the United States. So, in recent conversations with ambassadors from other countries, from the Indo-Pacific, from throughout the world, if we do or say things as a nation, and I'm speaking as a senator, if I do or say something that causes a close and trusted NATO ally, there is almost no better ally to the United States than Denmark. If we do things that cause Danes to question whether we can be counted on as a NATO ally, why would any other country seek to be our ally or believe in our representations?
He also described President Trump's statement on Greenland as dangerous. These remarks were reported as his personal view. They were not presented as an official position of the wider U.S. government. The combination of military movements, political statements, ladies and gentlemen, and public reaction placed Greenland at the center of international focus. Events then moved from official halls to public streets. Before we go deeper, ladies and gentlemen, please kindly help us like this video and please subscribe for more clear analysis like this. Thank you so much for your massive and incredible support. Guess what? Public reaction in Denmark followed soon after the report. Thousands of people gathered in several cities across the country. Large demonstrations were reported on Saturday, which is today. Many protesters assembled outside the United States Embassy in Copenhagen. The demonstrations were directed against repeated calls by President Donald Trump to take control of Greenland. Media reports described the protest as firm and organized. Protesters were seen holding signs and chanting messages. One slogan was reported clearly. It read, quote, "Hands off Greenland," End quote. Danish media reported that streets were blocked in part of Copenhagen. Traffic disruptions were expected due to the size of the crowds. Police presence was noted, but no violent activity was described in the report. The protest focused on Greenland's political status. Demonstrators voiced opposition to any move that could weaken Greenland's position as part of the Kingdom of Denmark. Reports said protesters demanded respect for Greenlanders' right to self-determination. The gatherings were not limited to one area. Ladies and gentlemen, media describes protests taking place across Denmark. The tone of the demonstrations was firm but orderly. No cause for conflict were reported. These public actions reflected wider concern among citizens. The issue of Greenland's future, its security, and its political status became a central topic of discussion. As protests continued, ladies and gentlemen, official statements from Denmark remained focused on defense cooperation and stability. So, ladies and gentlemen, whilst demonstrations continued, Denmark's official position stayed unchanged. The Danish Defense Command repeated that the troop presence in Greenland is linked to NATO cooperation. The exercises involve several European allies. No new military objective was announced. The command emphasized continuity. Denmark said it will keep an increased presence in Greenland in 2026. This statement was framed as a long-term security measure. It did not mention any response to protests or foreign statements. Reports did not indicate or show any direct military response from other countries. Ladies and gentlemen, the focus remains on training exercises and allied coordination. Greenland's status as part of the Kingdom of Denmark was not altered by any announcement. At the political level, ladies and gentlemen, Senator Chris Coons' remarks continue to circulate in media coverage. His warnings focus on trust among allies. His message highlighting concern that statements questioning alliances could have wider effect. These remarks were clearly attributed to him and not to any institution. Media coverage, Three elements. First, the arrival of Danish troops for NATO exercises. Second, political comments by President Donald Trump about Greenland. Third, public protest in Denmark calling for respect of Greenland's rights. No additional official reactions from the United States government was included in the report. No statement from Greenland's local authorities was quoted. The information remained limited to what was publicly reported. The report ended with continued focus on camp engagement and public awareness. Danish media continued to cover both the military exercises and the demonstrations. Streets in Copenhagen remained busy as protesters expressed their position. The key messages remained consistent. Denmark confirmed its defense plans. Protesters called for respect of Greenland's right to self-determination. Political comments from President Donald Trump were reported with clear attribution. No escalation was described, no new decisions were announced. The situation remained within the framework of public debate, official statements, and planned military cooperation. As developments around Greenland continue to receive attention, staying informed through reliable and verified news sources helps build understanding. Following accurate reporting, support awareness, learning, and long-term engagement with international events. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching this particular video. Don't forget to actually like, subscribe, and of course share this video with a neighbor.